Next up is Julia, and this is looking good. I think that I don't know if these are supposed to be windows or what. They look kind of, if they're windows, they look very strange with how thick they are. The window pane separators, and I would make those much thinner. I think it's good that you have the different boxes, although there's some issues with the repeating texture on there. Let's look at the next couple. I like the detail of the different photos and stuff you've got going in there. So let's take a look at this in Maya. So let's take this box for example. I think there's too much repeat on that, so I'm going to go Control A for the attribute editor. Go into this blend, go to the color, look at the place 2D. Oh, and it's just one by one, is it? Let's take a look at what that looks like in the UV editor. Oh, so that's just how that looks. It's sort of a repeating pattern. I don't know, you might try seeing what something like this looks like. 0.5, 5.5. Is that better? Maybe. This one looks quite stretched, so you might have to adjust your UVs because this side's so much longer than the other sides. You might want to take these UVs and oops, not those. Oh, those are the same ones. Yeah, I guess maybe. Which face is this? It's just that face. Maybe if we want to just these. Oh yeah. Can try that, or maybe, yeah, maybe like that. To make it look not so stretched compared to the other ones. Something like that. And then this one needs to be, since you've added to the model, yeah, these faces haven't really been mapped. I think kind of a quick way of doing this would be to just take these faces and do UV planar options Y, apply, and then it won't look quite so stretched. Maybe then you can kind of adjust, sort of match that, and so you don't have that weird stretched look that you had before. And then here you could do a similar thing you did to this one, and then and again you can see that sort of stretched, elongated. Oh yeah, it looks like you need to do those inside surfaces if you're going to see them. So like this one and that one, that could be what is that? Isn't that origin axis? Gives me. I don't know why I don't see the axis on there. Anyway, what is that? Z? must be X. Yeah. And then this one would be Z. This one. And that one. And again, you can just resize those until they're, it's a bit of a, sloppy kind of job, but it's alright. Just as long as they don't look super stretched like they did. So go through those and clean those up, like these guys again, could be Y. And then do the inside ones, etc., etc. One thing I noticed here is that when you beveled this, you bevel the whole object and not just the, essential edges on the side. So I might take this, take that bevel, select, click here, delete, and then that gets you this. And actually, you don't. You probably have a lot more. You're not really using all these anyways. So I would take these out. Well, maybe you want that one, but let's see. Shift right mouse click, delete edge. Yeah, it's pretty much the same surface now. So you kind of could just bevel the whole thing now. But otherwise you could just select those edges. But if I bevel now, I don't get all those extra internal edges that I don't need. Well, I do got some here, but you kind of need those. Anyway, and maybe you want to bevel this too. And for these, I don't know, are you going for windows? That's supposed to be a window? Because if so, the window pane separators are way too thick. And then you'd also want to cut a hole in the wall. Like, so, I don't know if this is what you're going for, but if this is supposed to be a window, I'm going to Control Shift X. Wait. Why isn't it letting me? What's up with this surface? Oh, something's a little. Yeah, it looks like you've got some funniness with this surface. Got this anyway. Shift right mouse click, delete vertex. Whoops. That's weird. Something's not sound with this surface. Might just rebuild that because something's weird. Split, planar projection, planar projection. Yeah, I don't know why. Oh, that's just a seam in the texture. Because the reason I'm noticing it is it's not letting me add detail in the using the multi-cut tool. Like it's just like not functioning, which tells me there's something off with the surface. Let's see. This one's weird too. Is there something I'm doing with this? Let me just try to replace this with a new cube. Or even just extrude this down, like, except I can't add that. That's so strange. Yeah, something is just in general a little strange because I'm also not seeing my manipulators. And normally if you reset, that should solve that. Sometimes, yeah, I can switch views and then that'll fix it. Okay, I don't know what the deal is with that. So D and V go here, and then V, middle mouse drag, and I'll scale this up, then out this way, something like that. And then Control Shift X, yeah, now this is working normally, so I could put, something like, I'm just being kind of quick and dirty with this, but, oops, that's way off. The point is I could take out these faces or make them transparent faces, for a window. Like right mouse click, assign new material, and maybe it's a Fong that's that's mostly transparent. And now you can kind of, you can see through that. And then this, you'd have to adjust the shape of this because it's, if that's supposed to be window panes, maybe it's something else and I didn't understand what you were making. But it looks like a window pane with giant thick window pane separators. And then you'd want to put some kind of scenery outside the window. Like some kind of image plane. So I imagine you want something more like that. I can adjust the heights of those and stuff, but you get the basic idea. Because these look weird. Yeah, and then sort of just keep going from there. You can add bevels and stuff. So yeah, a few UV fixes, a few model fixes, and I think it's looking nice. I think you've got a fair good amount of detail in there. You could, you might want to add, just make this less kind of geometrically perfect, stuff like this, where if you like, I might start by putting in some bevels everywhere on this. Did that work? That doesn't seem to work. Didn't like that. But then maybe just manually add some, detail to this kind of thing. Put in like a bunch of holding edges, all around. Again, I'm doing this a little bit quick and dirty, but and then see what happens if we just smooth the whole thing. Mesh. Edit mesh. Where's my smooth? Let's use. I think, is it this one? That might be too much. Probably need more holding edges to really do that, but it's a quick way to get a little bit more geometry. Oh yeah, I needed definitely more. Wait. Yeah, add in a few more. Anywhere it's not holding together. And then maybe I'll increase the on that smooth the number of divisions. So the idea being that then I can go in and just make some imperfections, like B for soft select. Hold down B, decrease the selection here. And you could then start doing stuff like this, just so that it's like, it just doesn't look so perfect. It looks like a box that's been gone through a move, you know. You could keep going with that, but you could see how something like that just adds a little life to it, makes it look more real. And the other thing is, if you remember from the lesson, you do want to reference the character in and not just import it. So that way you can make rig fixes and then it'll automatically update in the file. Right? You don't want to be fixing rigs inside of a scene file. You want a clean rig file that you can make any rig fixes with. So delete the character and all of its stuff out of here. Yeah, I got this all organized. Where's this guy? Yeah, that. It's probably these two. And maybe anything under here. All that, those sets, and then take all of this stuff. Group that, call it set, and then when you want to bring in your character, do instead of importing it, do file create reference and bring it in that way, and then import it. And then if you have problems with a rig, you can fix it in the separate file, and then when you update the reference in here, it'll be fixed in this one. Next up is Warren, and yeah, really good stuff here. I think I can see a lot of time and effort put into stuff like the sandbags. I think that's great. All the kind of damage on the boxes. The wear and tear looks really good. And really good camera angles. Just great work all around. Let's take a look in Maya. Here we are on Maya, and yeah, I mean, that's just really good work. Love the careful work on the sandbags, shaping each of those, that kind of stuff. That's great. I think that you could get into some just some imperfections on the boards, so you could look for little things to do, like grabbing this and stuff like just little adjustments here and there, to like so these aren't so perfect. Just little I have soft select on now too. Just go around and start looking for little things to kind of make things look not not totally perfect. And you could even take whole boards and do little sort of just very small kind of adjustments, and that's probably even too much. But the more you do little stuff like that, the more kind of natural it looks. It's a little, well, I mean, you've done that kind of nicely over here where this is all bent out of shape there, and that's really good. And then yeah, I mean, you've got a lot of dirt sort of stuff going on here, which is great. But if you wanted to get really into that, you could do stuff like having drips that go down the whole length of it and stuff like that. But that's just sort of taking it to the next level. And I don't know that you necessarily have time for that kind of thing. but just those little sort of model adjustments can go a long way to make it look more real. And you can break off pieces too. You could sort of, like, let's say we isolate this one, and you could just gonna do something like that, and then you could take out, turn off soft select there. You could take out something like this, and then I could fill that back in. Shift right mouse. Well, yeah, that'll work. Fill hole, and then Control Shift X and put this seam back in here. Probably gonna want to. Just as an example, but like, I don't know if I like how triangular that is. Maybe you want to add a couple more splits so it's not such a perfect notch. But, you could add little holes and stuff like that if you want. Maybe if I do stuff so it's not quite so, just kind of mess up the shape some. Yeah, that's better. Anyways, you can go through and just make these little changes to add imperfections and damage and stuff like that. Like you've done here, which is great. I love the sense of the weight of all this kind of stuff. It really looks believable to me. So all I can say is this is great work. I mean, really, if you did nothing to it, you're already in really good shape where you are. This is Anton, and yeah, it's looking really good. It's a nice camera angle. I like the portrait in the background. This map looks really nice. Good texture image. Pretty similar shot. You could try something different. I think one thing I'm a little concerned about is that if you have the water background, it's best if it's moving, but I suppose we can sort of use our imaginations. Here we are in Maya, and doing a moving ocean is, it's just too much to try to do for this class. I actually think you've done a really good job. I mean, depending on the camera angles you choose, you've got loads of detail in here already. Not really liking the floor texture. I sort of want to see what's going on. So you're using a procedural wood, which has this place 3D texture node, which I'm going to select. And then I think maybe it's facing the wrong way or something. Or it needs to be bigger. I think it's facing the wrong way. But it's not doing a nice preview of that for you. Say like that. And then I don't really love this procedural wood. Honestly, I think you'd do better to download a wood panel thing from cgtextures.com or something and apply that. But just so you see, after I move this 3D texture placement node, let's just render I'm going to do render snapshot current, and yeah, let's just look at a piece of floor like that and render that. I can't even see. No, that's not right. I don't know. I don't usually really use these procedural woods. Oh yeah, now you can kind of see the pattern a little bit better. Oh yeah, see the wood grain going across. Maybe that's too big. Whoops. Yeah, but that's just, I mean, there's so many good kind of wood panel things on cdtexture.com. I would abandon this procedural wood thing that you've got there and just download a texture and apply that. What's on this one? Same. I don't like these very much. You'll be much better off with applying an image texture on these surfaces, like you've done with like this one, you know, using these kinds of things. So I would just, because those are pretty big surfaces to have not so great looking textures on them. So yeah, download that and apply those. Let me know if you need help with that, and likewise for this wall. Yeah, I don't. I don't know. I don't really like those. And you want the sense that there's individual boards, and you're not going to get that from this anyway. So so yeah, that's a big thing to fix. This is great. As you can see, you put some effort into that. This is a really nice piece of furniture, and some good textures going around. Maybe a little bit more geometry. This on this would be good. It's a bit too sort of modern looking because it lacks kind of smaller details. If we're going to get much looking at the camera, this is sort of an awfully big picture window kind of thing for an old ship. I would be sort of surprised if they had like a massive window looking out into the sea like this. So maybe smaller and just more wall here and stuff on the wall and less window. Could be wrong, but that looks to me kind of unlikely to have a massive window like that. Although it looks nice, but I don't know if that sort of has a kind of accuracy to how a boat might be built. But yeah, all around, really good work here. It's a really nice set. The next up is Nathan, and yeah, there's a lot of good textures on the surfaces here. A lot of detail. Well, a lot of little scratches. Really good texture painting work. Um, for the character, I think some of the issues I've kind of, even trying to open your file, I ran into was like I had to, having to go through and kind of relink these one by one because it doesn't seem to be in the proper project folder with the source images directory. Like there's something called assets. All of your images, you should be in a Maya project with all your images in the source images directory, and all your scenes in the scenes directory. And so this is Arch. So, I had like having to like go through one by one and relink these to get to see these. So I think that it's built well. I think the textures are good. I think there's a problem with your Maya project. The other thing is that I don't know exactly what happened with your character, but where's the material in this? It doesn't even have a color map to it. I can see right here. It's just not on there at all. Like, I don't know if I got deleted at some point or what, but anyway, what you don't want to have, you don't want to import your character in here. You want to reference it in. So what you'll want to do is get this guy out of here. I guess that's all that stuff. So delete that out, and then when you bring that back in, make sure it's in the scenes directory of your scenes folder of the project that you're currently set to. Make sure you set your project to the proper project folder, and then make sure your character is in there, and do file, create reference, and then import the character in using a reference, not file import. And then if you need to make any rig fixes or if there's texture problems, you fix that on the rig file, not after it's been imported to the scene. So make sure to reference your character in, but the textures and all that look really great. It just yeah, you just need to get the project file and make sure. I mean, I'm assuming you're doing archive scene, but it's weird how it kind of save that stuff. So if when you're saving your file, make sure you do file archive scene and send me that zip file. And I would think it would give me all the necessary stuff with the right links if you did that. But it could be that it's not all in the proper project directory to begin with with the images in the source image directory, etc. So yeah, but really, really good texture work. I mean, this is great. I'm just wondering. I was sort of curious what this was done in that I mean, you've got these as sort of two separate projects, which might be messing you up, and you've got this assets folder. I was just wondering what you painted this in, where you got the all the different, the normal maps and stuff. I was curious what you're using. Let me know. But yeah, it looks really good.